That's okay.
Me.
Me, me,
Me. We're gonna hit the falsetto. Vocal cords struggling. Every time I try to sing, I just feel the back of my throat just go.
Because it's not coming from the diaphragm.
Mm-hmm.
Just never will.
You just gotta have the
If
right
you
air support.
asthma.
Handing back the breathe book.
Right.
You're my special friend.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Special Friends Podcast. This is your girl, Arioki, and I'm here with
Allie B.
and
Your boy Wuzi.
And we're looking forward to this episode today. We hope that you continue to subscribe to us and come back every video. Make sure you give us a rate on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and also leave a review on Spotify, and always like, share, and comment in our YouTube video.
Okay, how's that feel?
That was great. Yeah. 10 out of 10.
So what we got going on today, y'all?
I'm just here.
Authentic self is a perfect topic to transition into, actually, because I feel like the opening had a lot. You were so like authentic, and you're like, what happened? How did you become where'd you go? But that was authentic. But that was my authentic speaking voice. And yeah, I don't know. I was watching, I'm like, wow, like I'm ready to start coaching people. Like maybe I'm not on the spot ready, but I don't know. I'm just like, beautiful work. It makes me think of the work I'm ready to shift into more authentically. Yeah. But anyway, that is one of our topics today, is talking about our authentic self. Like, where do you feel most authentically yourself? And for me, it's usually been the classroom, actually.
Nice.
So yeah, for you, like, who are you? I'm like, exactly.
She was like, my name is Professor B for a reason.
Exactly.
Check the hashtag.
Right.
Before we get into all that,
Oh,
how
I'm
you guys
sorry.
feeling?
Oh, my bad.
I feel good.
Check in, make sure everybody's feeling good.
Yeah, I feel nice. I feel cool, calm, collected, and excited, and I'm always great to be in space with y'all. So, usually the highlight of my week whenever we do record.
Oh, likewise.
Yeah, so I always feel good.
That's awesome. You do always feel good. I feel like you're like always so positive. We'll be on our meetings. We'll be checking in, and I'll be telling y'all about the crappy things going on in my week, and you're like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good today. You know, I'm a little tired. So I love that. I'm inspired by that. But I'm feeling better today. It's been a long week, as I've shared with y'all. I've been having some interesting experiences in the classroom. So, been a little drained, but I'm really, for the first day this week, feeling more myself again, and just kind of reclaimed in my power and energy. So I'm feeling good today.
That's good to do. I mean, it's good to feel.
How you feeling, Wuzi?
Chilling. It's for Saturday. Another weekend. I'm just, I talked to Miss Mariana this morning, so like she made the joke today, every time you talk to me, you finna get homework. So got some things to work on, but that's how my brain works anyway. So I got a list of things to do, and yeah, I'm doing good.
Okay.
I'm gonna read a card today because I don't know. I like the concept of reading this card to start a conversation. I got the perfect card, the perfect one, especially for all three of us.
Okay.
Especially for what we talked about.
What did we talk about?
You already know what the card is.
Yeah.
No.
What was your first impression of me?
Oh.
Not just me, but obviously we get to pass it around. I think it'd be a good conversation. Obviously, we've done a couple of episodes together. Me and Allie just hit the 1 year mark. Ariel, you know what I'm saying, is the newest member, but she's been here for a while. So I think it'd be a good conversation. Good little question. Who wanna go first? What y'all nervous for? What's going on?
You go first.
go first on like what's your impression?
Allie.
My first impression of Allie?
Yeah.
Man, let me go back to that day. It was September 9th, 2023.
Not a day.
It really was September though.
Yeah.
I do remember the date because I had an interview that day.
Mm.
She was in. I think I met her in Old Soul, and I remember I was setting up the set, and she was just, like how I do. What's going on over here? What are you doing? So I was telling her, I was like, yeah, I'm doing this and that, but I was also nervous. I was like, I'm doing this and that. Do me a favor. Follow me on Instagram.
We need to get you a shirt that says "Do me a favor."
Yeah.
Have like your QR code or something.
That'd be fun. That'd be funny. So I remember that, and I remember cause I was looking for people to interview at the time. So I was scrolling through her page, and I remember she was like a young professional. I was like, that was pretty dope. And I think the first thing I thought of Allie was like, okay, what the heck? Like a young, like, because I think it was something about that. Like you were like you got your master's like fast.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah, I was like 22 when I first. I think I started in 2014. So, and I started teaching in 2014 as a grad student. But I'm trying to remember how old I was at that time. 22, 23. Yeah.
She had a little short. She had a little pixie cut.
Well, I had my short hair then when we met.
No, not when we met. I'm talking about the picture that I saw.
Yeah.
On her graduation. I was like, oh, she had a little pixie cut.
I did. My hair was super short.
So I remember I was thinking, I was like, interesting. So my first impression was more like, I was like, what kind of person gets a degree that fast? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's fast, but it felt fast because my friends are barely getting BAs, and I'm like 25. Oh, I'm 27. So it's like some of my friends are just getting BAs or just starting their graduation programs. So to have your master's already, I was like, this is her life. So I thought she was like completely academia. I mean, she is, but
Yeah, I am.
so that was my first impression. I was like, man, she loves school.
And I do.
Interesting. But my first impression of Ariel, I don't know. What was my first impression of Ariel? Can't remember the first. I don't remember the first time I met Ariel. Like, obviously, I don't know the day, but I definitely saw you when we were launching a church, and it was what was that place?
City of Refuge.
Yeah, and you came in. Then I think you were gone. And then you came back in. So I remember like never really had a conversation with her until like I finally saw her when we moved to American Legion. And then I think that's the first time I actually like, cause I would like chit chat, but I think the first time I ever talked to you. And I remember you're like, I found your podcast. I was like, oh my God. I remember my first impression was like, I don't know what you would describe this as, but all I kept thinking was like, how did she find my podcast? That's all I kept thinking. I was like, how did she find it? But I just thought she was quiet. I just thought she was quiet, and I don't know. I didn't really have a super duper like firm impression. I just remember she was always quiet, and I remember thinking like, I wonder why Ariel. Even like that thing, like I wonder what brought Ariel to Hope. Like why she's here? Because she's so quiet. I have no idea what her intentions of anything was.
Did I?
Huh?
Did I know my intentions? No, sorry. That's cool.
That was my if I get my first impression. I thought Allie loved school with all her heart, and I thought Lily thought she was going. I don't know. I thought she was gonna get a PhD. I mean, you can still get a PhD.
I would still like to get one.
That's what I thought. I was like Allie was like the person who go get a PhD, sure. Because if she got a master's that fast, I'm like that's just one more step.
Yeah.
And then Ariel was like, she was always quiet, so I was always my first impression was like, what is she cooking in that brain? What is her intention?
Oh, okay. I feel like a lot of people feel that way towards me as a first impression. Like, what is she about? I don't know. I'd be really shy at first when I meet folks, so. But then I'm no longer shy after a while.
I'm no longer shy after a while. That's funny. What about you guys?
I'm trying to figure out if the first time I met Ariel was when we met at Temple or if we had a phone meeting before that.
I think we had a phone meeting before that.
Okay. So both times, though, I remember feeling refreshed. And, like, just like, oh, my gosh, I love her energy. Because before, well, Wuzi and I would talk about topics and stuff. But sometimes we would be disagreeing on our stances.
Tell the truth, we be beefing.
We
be beefing in the topic sections.
What's wrong with that?
It's be funny to me. I'm like, Ali, really?
The eye roll.
She used to. I would literally, when I would do the topic sessions, I would get on my hands and knees and I'd be sitting there with my phone on FaceTime. Like, not on FaceTime. Well, sometimes on FaceTime too. I sit there talking to her, and then sometimes Ali be going in on me. And I'd be like, what I do? I just ask a question.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes them perspectives would be hot.
Yeah.
Hot takes. But it's okay. We just, we would, obviously it's all in good spirit. But
Yeah.
When you were on the phone though, I was like, oh, finally somebody who's kind of, I don't know, just adding a voice here in the space that I feel like affirms what we're doing, but also stands out in its own way. And your creativity, especially like, because when Wuzi mentioned is like, yeah, I want to bring Ariel in to help us, produce topics and stuff. Cause I also was burnt out. I was struggling with coming up with a lot of original ideas. So when you came in, I was like, I didn't know we needed this so badly. Ariel is so good at this.
That's so funny.
Respectfully.
Yeah.
Well, you're great at that, coming up with topics
listen,
too, Najara. But you gotta edit. You gotta do all sorts of stuff to like keep this running. So that's like a lot of brain work. And like you said, I'm very into school, so my brain work mostly goes to work. So
Ariel's definitely better than me because she finds the sources. That's where I suck at.
it's her gift.
Yeah.
Her gift is like
Really?
like scouring the internet and finding the good stuff to talk about, or like the thoughtful stuff to talk about, or the interesting stuff. It's like interesting, insightful, or important. So yeah, I just remember feeling delighted by you.
Delighted and refreshed. That's
refreshed,
cute.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. Okay.
It's adorable.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad.
Very positive. And then, yeah, Wuzi, I feel like, for me, when I first met you, it was very comfortable. I just remember because I remember you were setting up your mics and stuff. I was like, is he setting up for a podcast in a coffee shop? And you know me, I'm very confident and curious. So anytime something's going on and I'm curious about it, I will find somebody to ask about it so I can figure out what's going on. And I remember how, just polite and welcoming you, or you're just like, I'm recording a podcast. And I feel like we talked for a while. Well, I feel like we talked for a long while. And then we started, I don't know if you packed up or if you were packing up when I went. You were setting up. Was I leaving? I think I was grading that day.
You were leaving.
But I just remember feeling just very comfortable and very like also inspired, because I feel like I remember talking to you about how I had a podcast and it just didn't work out. I had done a couple projects and they just didn't work out. And you were just like, well, you should come, we should do an interview. And I was like, but I have enjoyed this conversation. I think we'll have a great recording, but I also was like, I don't know, just.
Well, at that time you were also in transition.
Yeah.
You had left teaching to go do the data analyst work, and you were bouncing back from the data analyst work back to teaching. That's
right. So, wow, that feels like yesterday. And 5 years ago at the same time. Yeah. I was in a very weird place. So it was just really nice to be, I guess, because again, like being let go of that job, I was in a self-deprecating place. But to be able to talk just and be comfortable and talk openly about being let go, but somebody still, I don't know, engaging in thoughtful conversation with me, not like judging the failure that I'm like very much feeling is on the outside. I don't know. It's cool that you picked up that I love school, because I feel like when we first met, especially if I was in that, especially being in that place, I was not doing well internally, you know, and I don't know if I was even really super convinced I was going to be staying as a professor since I had left, come back. And it's like, I don't know if I'm going to, I feel like I'm supposed to be here, but I don't know because I left. Yeah. Anyway, and I was like, should I go get my PhD? But you were just so willing to listen. Mm-hmm. I think that's the meaning. You're so willing to listen and so willing to just be a friend without knowing me. And that felt so nice and affirming. But yeah.
I remember that day like yesterday. I remember when because I'm always, even when I'm packing, I'm doing my stuff, I'm always observant, because obviously I was raised in the hood, so you always got people doing it. Gotta see what I do fidget over there. So I remember she had walked, like, not by me, but like close enough to talk to somebody. So I was like, okay. And then she like walked. She was gonna walk through the set. And I was like, thinking to myself, like, why is she gonna walk through this set? And she's like, what's going on over here? What's going on? What are you doing? I was like, oh, okay, it makes more sense. I was thinking to myself, she better walk through this set. People be doing that. Like, when I was interviewing Miss Mariana, we had a guy like act like he was just so oblivious to all the equipment. I have all this stuff that I have set up. He's gonna walk through the middle, and we're just like, me and Miss Mariana was like, you just gonna walk through the middle of everything. He's like, oh, I didn't even pay attention. He's like, bro, you can't be that oblivious. Yeah. People just be doing that.
No, I was nosy.
Yeah.
I was being nosy. I was like, is that a microphone? What is this?
Let me hold that. That's funny.
Can I touch it?
Yeah.
That's funny. What about you, Ariel? It's funny to know Ariel's perspective, because Ariel has a pretty unique perspective on how she met both of us.
Really?
Not perspective, but like the way.
My first impression of you, of course, was the phone conversation. Actually, that's not true.
Technically, it's before.
It was before. Mm-hmm. Yeah, before I met you.
Because she watched the podcast.
Yeah.
It was before that.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Remember, it was the wellness, or like Wise Wednesdays or whatever you were
Wise
doing.
Word Wednesdays.
Wise Word Wednesdays.
Shout out to Josiah and Reese. And
I didn't know it was Allie at the time. I didn't know it was Allie until like last month. Mm-hmm. Full circle moment. So I was on Instagram, and I used to follow the Wise Word Wednesdays. And I think you were speaking something around college or being a student or something like that. Mm. And I have this photo on Instagram that says, "For You." It's a photo that I feel like posts that are speaking to me in my own experience. And you're the first video I saved in that folder. And so when you go to Instagram, it's literally a picture of Allie, because it shows like the picture of the post. And it wasn't until, like I said, last month when I was scrolling through my folders, I was like, is this Allie? And so I was just like, what the heck? But yeah, so my first impression of her was she's speaking wise words.
Thank you.
She's a Black woman speaking from her perspective in the school setting, very similar to Wuzi's first impression.
On brand.
So I liked you from that. And then my first impression of you on the phone was, it was really easy conversation. I felt like we all blended really well. I was like, I think I can get down with this. I think I can stick with this.
This yours?
No.
This yours? Body prescriptions, beeswax, and peppermint.
It sounds dope, but
yeah,
it's not mine. He's so concerned.
Anyways, go ahead. My bad.
Not you examining it. But yeah, so my first impression was just like, yeah, she's dope. I feel like you were very, I feel like you have a very strong stance and like know what you about and like what you're not about. And I'm like, I like that. I admire that about her. And we met in person. I was like, oh, she's adorable. I was like, she's so cute. But yeah, so my first impression was just like, I can see us connecting and vibing and like making this into something. So it was a good impression. My first impression of Wuzi was, I was like, oh, he's Black.
Thanks.
I was like, there's another black person in this space. This feels nice.
That's funny. That makes sense though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, he has a camera. I was like, he's cool.
That's so funny.
That's my second impression. I was like, oh, he walks around and take pictures. That's cool. That's really cool. And that was my first impression of him. But our first conversation was before.
Black on the camera.
Yeah, cool black with a camera. That was literally my very first impression. And then our first conversation though was actually before we moved to the high school.
What was it?
You were standing by the production booth. It was me, and a few other. It was like 6 of us maybe talking, and you were talking about you're going to Fresno and you're gonna cook for your friends. And me and Atiana start talking about baking, and you're like, oh, I can't bake because it's too scientific and
too precise.
And she was like explaining stuff to us, and we're all looking at her like, yeah, that's why we don't bake. Because she was like, yeah, because you have to know this and this. We're like, And that was my first conversation with you, and I was like, "Were you gonna cook for us?" And you're like, "Just let me know. Just let me know."
That's always my answer. Whenever y'all want me to, let me know. I just cooked for all my people at work yesterday.
Oh. Yeah, that's good.
I grilled chicken. I made burgers. And I made hot links.
Yeah. So it went well.
Oh,
they were all happy. They're excited. Like, oh, thanks. I said. And then Miss Mariana called me. She's like, "Oh, you're just a dad at work." I said, "It's pretty spot on." Just dad, even though I'm the youngest one there.
Oh, you are.
Sometimes it'd be like that.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. That's funny. That's what's up, though. But yeah, I think that was a good question, just given how we all met in, I won't say unorthodox ways, because
they're very organic ways, I think.
No, that's what I think. They're like, when you usually hear people how they meet friends, it's like, oh, we went to a party, we met, or this and that, whatever. But I think we all met in like, I don't know,
by happenstance.
Yeah, like,
or by
like
passerbys. God's will, really.
Yeah.
I do think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of divinity in how we came together in the perfect timing, I think, in its own right timing. But.
Speaking of full circle, did you ever catch up with Felicity?
Yeah, I've been keeping up with her.
Okay.
Yeah, she's cool. I'm trying to get her to be featured in our 30 Under 30. I wanted her to be honored at Women Who Dared, but they went a different route. But I'm still trying to get her featured for 30 Under 30. So I've been chatting with her still.
That's good.
She's cool.
But that was pretty cool too. I was like,
yeah. So Felicity, she does a lot. She has like her LLC around marketing and digital media management and stuff. But then she also has a book for women, and she also has like a foundation for women. And she also has a podcast for women. Well, not just women, but people in general. And so she does a lot. Really great, dope chick. But we met her at the
Life Work Experience
event, and she and I they were talking and we were all talking whatever, and I ended up sitting with her, and we were like talking or whatever, and it was like, oh, let's change like Instagrams or whatever. And then I go to her Instagram, I'm like, I already follow you. I was like, oh, like you're the girl. I had already been trying to reach out to her like 3 weeks prior to connect her with the org. And she's like, I'm so sorry I didn't get your DM, which we looked in the DMs, and I guess Instagram really glitched. Like she didn't see it, and on my end it looked weird too. So it was just like, I was happy I showed up that day, because she was
gonna flake on me.
I was like 80% gonna go.
I had to keep reminding her. I said, hey, what's up with the Life Work Experience? She's like, oh yeah. Oh yeah, that is this Sunday.
Was it a conference or something? Like a church conference? Or
no.
Just regular?
It was I was doing a videography for Armani. Shout out to Armani. He was doing he got a book called Life Work. He's doing testing for a card series called Life Work Experience, which is kind of like these, but a little bit different. And she loves games, so I'm like, who's the better person to come like on a double positive? Like, you come network, but you also get to do what you want to do and also get to review the game. Like, it seemed like it was the perfect experience for her. But she was like, oh no, I don't know. My energy is. I said,
I wanted to do it, but I really was like, I don't know what my energy is gonna look like. Like, it had been a long 2 weeks leading up to that.
I understand.
But I was happy I went. I did get to network with a lot of people, that we'll be working with on my programming. But yeah, Felicity is cool, and it was weird too. Like I had already been following her and already been wanting to connect with her, and we made that connection, and now we're locked in. So
once we're locked in, ain't no switching up.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Until you give me a reason to switch up.
Oh God. That's funny. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a good question. And again, I don't know. I'm just happy that we got to know each other and make things work the way we're working.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Speaking of that, we should go get breakfast after this. So yeah, I'll just throw that out there. I'm starving. I don't know what you gotta do. I don't got nothing to do today no more. Anyways, sorry, I got crazy technical. Anyway, but to the topics today. This is a good. I think this is a good segue into authentic selves because obviously, I think just the way we've all, on top of how we met, I think we've been able to showcase our authentic selves to each other.
Yeah.
Personally,
yeah.
But what would you? I wanted Allie to take it over because I feel like she really enjoyed this topic and see what direction you wanted to go with it.
Well, I want to come back to the questions you put on our topics for today, but. Yeah, I wanted to just start by saying, I guess building a little bit on what I was saying earlier, even with our first impression, I feel like in the last few years, it's been a tough time, and I really haven't been the highest frequency version of myself, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. Like I've been doing my hardest, but I haven't been vibing at like the happiest frequency because I've been processing real stuff. But anyway, all that said, not to get lost in the weeds, the point of what I'm trying to make is part of being my authentic self for a long time did not include really it hasn't included being that open with everybody. I feel like I used to be very open emotionally on social media. Like I used to just emotionally vomit online to a point where I feel like it was more exploitive than it was actually purposeful for me. And now I feel.
What do you mean when you say that more exploitive?
Like I feel like it made more just like good tea for people to consume than really like give space for the people that I needed support from to really support me, and honestly, like that's also coming from, I think, a more mature place of, attention seeking, things like that. But I am kind of like outgrowing that particular type of approach to life. It also left me very much like, okay, well, I really need to be more mature about how I experience pain and hurt feelings. But in that, it also resulted in me keeping a lot to myself and dealing with things alone. And so for me, my authentic self is not having to be happy all the time, but and being able to talk about the real without pretending like everything is okay when it's not. I feel like I've done a really good job of learning how to pretend like things are okay when they're not, in the classroom, with my friends, with my family, with anybody that's not me. And I feel like now it's about being cautious about sharing the vulnerabilities but not hiding them, so
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to kick it off from that place because I wanted to say thank you for creating such a safe space for me to be exactly where I am. It's to make a good podcast. I feel like you really have to be producing good content for people, positive content for people usually, or interesting content. But when you're in a negative place, you can easily work against that purpose. I feel, or I could, So, but I don't feel like y'all let me be myself, but also kept the vibes high, which held me to a standard for myself that can, I don't know, be hard to do when you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it makes sense because when you're doing, I know for me who when it came to like streaming, because streaming is just like, yeah, you can bring homies in, but it's still just you on that screen talking to the people in that chat. I know that was the hardest part, because when you're going through something, it's hard not to, your filter is different. So it's like I'm filtering everything you say through this negative experience that I'm going through. So it's like usually someone might make a joke about whatever, and I'm just like, like through my happy filter, like, hey, joke back. But then someone might make a joke when you're in a bad mood. What did he say? Ban him. Block him. And it's like, but it's not the human experience. That's just how it goes. Your perspective is everything. So I think it is. I think when you have multiple people involved, you have feedback, because like if we're coming from a certain space, or you're coming from a certain space, we can like challenge that, like, well, why are you feeling that way about this? And then it goes deeper, like, oh, things like that. So I definitely agree. I think, especially when it comes to like, this podcast is all about relationships and friendships. I think, especially today, and I think it'll lead into another topic we have later on. When it comes to being authentic, I think that's something we all, I don't know, it's like one of those things where it's like a knob. Miss Mariana explained, like, it's like a knob, kind of. Like there's an intensity level. Like when we first learn about it, we want to turn it all the way up. So it's like, if I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry. You gonna see me cry. This is just me. But at the same time, it's like, maybe you don't need to. maybe you shouldn't be sitting there crying on camera. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe that. So I'm being serious. Like I feel like when it comes to being authentic, your authentic self, there is like a love, and it kind of leads into what we talked about before. When it came to like before we started the podcast, we were talking about Holly Bailey. Is it Holly? Holly Bailey, and we're talking about like how some things she keeps to herself, but some things she showcases, and I think that's an important comment. I think that ties into being authentic, because like you have to know what you can put out there and what you need to keep for yourself, for your own,
like what's sacred to you.
Yeah, because if some people have the ability to bear everything and stay whole, but some people do that, and it's like almost like exposing a part of themselves, and it's like so I think I wanted to ask you guys, like, because I think it's important to define this before we go any further, like what do you define as being authentic, like for you per se, like what makes you feel like you're being authentic?
For me personally, I feel the most authentic. I feel like I'm being authentic when I'm not wavering, like, on my values, my guiding principles, my spiritual foundation. When I'm in space where I feel like I can't be expressive in those areas, or I have to come to like ultimatum, I guess, about having no stance or being steadfast in those ways, I feel like convicted by it, because it's like, you don't really believe this, or just really not natural or comfortable, or like, because I feel like my values and my guiding principles curate my actions and my choices, and I feel like I'm not moving from those things is not authentic if my choices are being made not based on those foundational things. They're being based on like other people's judgment, or like other people's voices, or whatever. That's when I feel like I'm not being my authentic self, and I feel burdened by it, because I just feel like I'm being molded into something or someone else that I'm not actually am. I spoke about it a little bit in the last episode I was in, about like making choices out of what my family and like friends thought I should be doing and stuff, and I didn't feel like myself. And so I think for me, being authentic is sticking to what your foundational core of you are when it comes to like your values, your spirituality, and like your guiding principles. Because ultimately, like, if you're making choices not based off those things, you are going to feel uncomfortable and not yourself, and like out of balance, I think that explains it. I don't know if I explained it well, but yeah.
I love that you're
It's your
able.
definition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just make sure it made sense.
So what? Yeah, no, it does. Like, what values also though, kind of ground that for you?
Some of my values are around. I have a few primary values. One of my primary values is comfort, and for me, comfort is doing things to prevent unnecessary conflicts or issues. So taking care of my health to prevent myself from being like tied into like some type of chronic disease or having to spend all this money on medical treatment for something I could have prevented. So being comfortable in good health is, I feel like, is comfort. Making wise decisions around my finances and not being having to worry about how I'm gonna pay this bill, or like I owe this person, or I'll do this. Like that's a comfort and a peace that comes with that. So comfort is one of my personal values because it brings so much other values, like the peace component. When it comes to my spirituality, it's more so I do have a Christian foundation in my faith, and so that being like my solid rock for sure, and the principles that come with Christianity, and having that being like my moral compass. When I move outside of that, I feel crazy. Like I feel crazy. I feel like so like, what do you call it? Like fighting with myself. And I moved like that a lot when I was younger because I was just like very rebellious, very like, I was in this my whole life. I need to try this. And it was the stupidest choice. I had the most horrible experiences, but God favored me, thank God, during that season. But yeah, like it's just, I don't know. But yeah, comfort and spirituality, I guess. I don't want to get too far into it, but those are like two that I kind of lean into every day.
I love that you have values that ground kind of your authenticity, and that you can remember them. Because I feel like I'm really still discovering what those values are for me. And when I've always thought I am my authentic self, and I used to think I feel most authentic and comfortable in my classroom. Like that's the space where I feel like my most authentic self comes out, aside from when I'm at home by myself. But after this semester, I'm starting to realize that I don't think, like, it is my authentic self in the classroom, but it's like my authentic teaching self. It's like, it's still a performance in a way of like performing a role. And I'm so much more than professor and academic. And my real authentic self is when I'm creating, like when I'm making art and expressing what I'm feeling creatively. But in the classroom, I'm actually much opposite to this. While it is an art in itself, I have to be more, like you were saying, your family maybe your family or people would have these, you would operate in these expectations of other people's desires. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at, is operating as a professor in this expectation of how professors are supposed to do things. And that's not just based off of internal pressure, that's entirely external as well, like from evaluations and having to adhere to certain policies and standards and attitudes, from students complaining about me talking about race, my racial experiences in class, when I'm asked to do that. All of the college, they're saying, we're for equity, we're for diversity and inclusion, and we want our instructors, regardless of the subject matter, to find a way to weave those conversations in. But when you do, you're still met with people who don't understand. And so you still have to perform. You still have to provide that service, but perform in a way that people are going to receive. And for me, again, as an artist, I'm about expressing myself authentically. I don't want to have to put my voice into a lens that's academic all the time. But that's what I'm doing, and that's what I do. And I don't know, I'm kind of learning how to differentiate between what's really me and what's my authentic professional self. I know I feel like I've conflated those for the past for most of my life. So yeah, in creating is where I'm finding it and trying to find those values to help inspire those creations now.
Yeah, we also have to keep in mind that we do play different roles in various different ways in life, and like we put on these different hats as like a woman, a Black woman, a sister, a mother, a daughter, a professor, a whatever. And so our authentic selves in those different spaces may look different. So my authentic self as a daughter may look different as my authentic self as a sister. So acknowledging that and validating that as well. But I do understand what you said you're experiencing right now of just kind of distinguishing those two, and like, yeah, so I can understand that. The way I actually came across my values that I kind of been living through these last few years was therapy, of course. But also evaluating like my needs in a romantic relationship, because I was married at the time, and also just my needs in general as a person. And I found that a lot of my needs, my values, and my love languages aligned. And so that was like an interesting like
revelation.
Yeah. So I mean, that can be like something you can
some homework.
Yeah, a way to start trying to figure out your values.
Write that down.
No, but for real, yeah. So I appreciate that, because I do often feel pigeonholed as the smart academic, and I feel more of a creative than an academic, to be honest. I've just been good at school because I like school and I'm well behaved. I was a well behaved kid, so I really wasn't getting into much trouble. I liked doing my homework. I liked getting it done early. I liked going to classes to hang out with my friends in recess. Like, I loved everything about school, and I still do. That's why I teach. But I miss being a student. I don't know, in the student space, I feel like there's more creativeness, more space to not know yourself and discover more about yourself. And I feel like that's like an ongoing thing throughout life, but for whatever reason, it's like after you get to a certain point of adulthood, you're expected to like know, you know. And I want to just be clear, I know some things, but I don't know a lot still. I'm still discovering a lot. So I'm excited to see how some of that homework might reveal some new core values to live by. And
I'll send you my the worksheet I created for myself.
Oh my god, I would love that. Please do.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. Your own worksheet.
What about you, Wuzi?
I don't know. Being authentic to me, I don't know. I never thought about it like that. I mean, it's funny. I was writing in my notes, just yesterday, just about like reflecting on myself, and I was like, I consider myself a paradox, because I'm a cynic, like I'm cynical, but at the same time, I'm like self-sacrificial. So like what that means is like when you're a cynic, it usually means like all about what you want and your self-interest first. But the self-sacrificial means you'll also get rid of your interests for the betterment of other people. And I feel like that if I characterize myself, at least in this moment, that's how I've been feeling. Because like there's certain things that like I'm gonna take care of me first, but it's also certain things where I'm like, you know, my fam, you know, people that I'm close with, I'm willing to, you know, give a little to give, you know, to make sure they can push themselves forward. So like being authentic for me, I think it's like what stood out to what you guys were saying that I was thinking about was like how Ariel said comfort and has her principles, and then Allie was talking about self-discovery. I feel like I can resonate to both of those things, because like it's like standing firm in your principles. I think that's the best word, because principles don't waver. Like they're like you can adjust what you're doing to the principles, but they don't change. But there's also like a level of like, you know, this might have been me at one point, but I'm going through a new phase, or because I have these principles don't mean I'm gonna act a certain way. I think church is a good example. Like sometimes it's always funny with like when I deal with my church folks, not just at Hope, but in general, because they'll like, you know, like I still talk the way I talk and make the same jokes that I make, but then I also like apply it to like my spiritual beliefs. So it's like when I shared my daily prayer with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm like, it's like people are weak, but I'm like, that's literally me.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I really felt that, like,
I think the prayer is awesome.
I know, but it's you know, when people, I shared it with multiple people and everybody starts busting up laughing, I'm like, what's so funny? And they're like, it's just what you, it's like how you described it. I'm like,
yeah.
But that's just how, you know, that's who
and
I am.
I think that's what the difference is between principles and values. Because principles, like I said, they don't change. Like they can be altered, but the foundational understanding of them doesn't change.
Yeah.
But values might change depending on your life circumstances and transitions and like growth and stuff.
Yeah. So I very much feel like it is being authentic is having a set of principles that are bigger than you, that hold you accountable. But I think another part of being authentic is you know, being open to navigating how you're going through those principles. You know, like something like the tithe, I joke around with my friend about, cause like, not even just joke. The Bible Project talks about it, where he's like, tithing. Some people see tithing as giving actual money, but some people see tithing as actually giving away like their time or skills to somebody or to an organization that's for the betterment of the cause. So it just depends on how you see it, because it's not just, you know, it's not just about the money. So it's just, I'm always,
Was it treasures, talents, and there's 3 words, right?
I think so. I don't know.
Talents, treasures, and time. Talents,
Yeah.
treasures, and
yeah.
treasures.
So some people might not, you know. So it's things like that for me. I like to break down. I think that I constantly do with myself is breaking down my principles, what I believe, and then really understanding what I'm trying to achieve. You know, it's kind of like defining what I'm actually trying to achieve, and then really building my life upon that, whatever that looks like. So when it comes to being authentic, I feel like it's that for me, just really understanding defining what you're really trying to do or who you really are, and then building everything on top of that, because then it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Versus growing up, you're kind of, I feel like as a kid, we're building our values on somebody else's principles. Obviously, if you're in someone's house, they got rules that you got to live by, so you're building up on that. And then when you become an adult, you realize, you know what?
Some of these things I don't get.
This don't even apply to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you break that down again. And then I feel like, you know, in the 20s is when we're like kind of building that, what we believe and what our world is. So I feel like that's when you truly become authentic. Because, you know, I hear people all the time like, yeah, I realized I was living my life for somebody else. And, you know, we've all been there. And some people find out early. And some people find out when they, you know what I'm saying, when it's late. So, but that's how I would describe being authentic. Just, again, having principles, but really just living your life through that. Truly, honestly.
You know that professor I told y'all about the other night? One of his other, it's not that dark. But he was just,
okay.
he was just saying how, like, when we live by our values, that's when we're the closest to reaching what happiness is, because we're not, like you said, living for someone else, because you're living from your values. So if you value health and you're doing things, so you're living your life in line with your value of health, then you are more happy. But if you claim your value is health, but you're not taking care of your health, it's just like conflict and like, you know, so I think of things that way too. Like whenever I feel like I'm moving outside my values, I am unhappy. I am like feeling depressed or like just like not myself. So
Interesting.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like that's, if I could just say I know maybe we'll shift topic soon, but I just really like the idea of the difference between values and principles, because I feel for me I've conflated the two and felt bound as a result. Like, I feel like professional stability is really important. I don't know that that's a principle or value at this time, but being committed to my job and my work, and school for as long as I have, and now being at a place where I still value it, but I want more, and I don't. So are my values changing? Is my principle more knowledge, and the value is not so much about the, like, maintaining professional security in that way, or professional stability, I should say. Like, for you said security. I would adopt that, but professional stability doesn't have to be just in academia, even though knowledge is an important principle of mine. But like, having to just sift through all of that is so eye-opening and helpful and useful, because it's easy to be lost out here.
Tell me about it.
Even if you feel like you really know yourself, it's like,
also, I know we talked about this for a minute, but I don't think I talked to you about it. I might talk to you about it too. About there was this minister in my old church who, she used to have like women or like young girl groups or whatever, and she would talk about, one of her lessons was on like embracing change, and because women naturally change like every 6 to 7 years. And then recently I was listening to this educator, and she said that she had changed her career like every 10 years, and she was in her 60s by, I think, the time she did the interview. And so it made me think, like, I feel like there's a correlation there, especially for women. It's like, okay, if we're changing every 7 years, about maybe our values are changing, or maybe even our principles, who knows. But obviously, if our values are changing, that should, like, our careers interests probably will change too. And so I think from both of those perspectives, I feel like just embracing that and see, like right now, like, you love academia and knowledge is one of your principles, but does that mean you have to be a professor? So yeah, I think of it that way too, of just like embracing the shift, and accepting like you're not going to be in the one career for the rest of your life, and how unnatural it might be for women. I don't know what kind of changes men go through. I don't really study men that much. Maybe one day I'll get more interested in men, but but yeah, so maybe just acknowledging that like it's a natural thing.
I appreciate that, because change can be hard.
I don't deal with change well, but I'm learning to deal with it better.
Same.
That's funny. That's what's up, though. Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, I know we've been on this for a while, and I'll leave it on this so we can go to the next topics. But what do you? Because it sounds like you guys have, like you say, I was talking to an artist named Lemon, and she was saying, she had told me, she's like, yeah, I've been living inauthentically for a while, blah blah blah. And I remember really genuinely feeling in my heart like I cannot relate to that. But I feel like a lot of people can. And I want to ask you guys, like, what do you feel like is the challenge to live authentically? Like, because you said there's certain times where you know how you feel and what you believe, but then you'll go against that. Like, what do you feel like is that reasoning?
For me, it was more so just trying to people please and like keep things harmonious. So when I be in spaces of people with conflicting spirituality or conflicting, I guess, perspectives around race or culture or things like that, I would just either be quiet and not speak up, or I'll just be like, oh yeah, I get it, or like I'll just kind of fall into the background and not really speak my stance on things. And that's, I think, the most part when I was younger. That's when things like that will arise. And I'm just like, even though I don't believe this or I'm not with this, like, I'll just, go along with it. And outside of that, those particular circumstances, it was just like not wanting to disappoint my family. I think we learn this in communication about like what a significant other is in interpersonal relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So a significant other is someone you hold their they have higher weight, basically, of what
significantly important
weight of what you feel like you value their perspective over others, basically, and like what they think of you over others. My issue was I didn't have like one significant other. I felt like all my elders were my significant other, and a lot of times they weren't even on the same page. This person wanted this for me, this person wanted this for me, this person wanted this for me. And so I held like a high significant importance of their perspective and like what they wanted from me as I was developing as a young adult and like going into school and deciding on a career and deciding on like how I want my family life to be and things like that. And also like trying to like, I don't know, do better than my older siblings, because I've seen how they've disappointed my elders and stuff in different ways, and I'm like, I don't want to be like that, like. So I think those are the two, I guess, examples for me where I feel like I was operating in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
makes sense. What about you, Allie?
For me, it's a lot of in my work right now. Like, I think I teach my classes very non-traditionally, and like I said, I talk about race in my class. I talk about my own personal experiences in my class, and that's my approach. That is my authentic self in the classroom. But I'm learning that authentic self is not always safe, and I'm having to like really figure out if I belong here still, because the way I want to do my work, I can't really do with the standards that the school has in place right now. I would have to walk on eggshells with how I talk about race and ethnicity with students, and I just want to talk about anti-blackness directly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to have to coddle people's feelings because they're offended that I pointed out anything. I want to be able to speak to my experiences and it be in a space where it's purposeful and makes sense, because that's the structure of the work I'm doing. And so,
and what prevents that?
Well, okay, so for example, at the college is interested most in students. They're not interested quite enough in helping professors of color who are bullied by students for their identity. They're not interested in helping us to be able to exist in the classroom authentically like I would like to. To be able to, again, speak to my racial experiences without that being cast back at me as though I'm now targeting other students, making other students feel isolated. I have to put the student interest first. And you were mentioning before how sometimes you said that you see yourself as what's the word?
Paradox.
Yeah, that paradox of like needing to satisfy yourself versus satisfying others. And it's like that for me in the classroom. It's like, okay, well, so I need to tone down the passion that I have for the inequities I experience and people like me experience for the sake of other people's comfort. That's the expectation a lot of the time, because it's the students learning that is the priority, right? And so we have to create those sort of environments. But for me, I have been teaching for 10 years now, and I have been creating safe environments for students to learn these things for 10 years now. I'm tired of spending so much effort making it safe. I want to go deeper. And at this point, the structure that exists, like you have people who don't want critical race theory in K through 12. So what kind of college students do you think are showing up when it comes to talking about race and ethnicity? You know what I'm saying? But I've been doing this work for 10 years. I'm not really trying to do the regressive work right now. I'm trying to do the deep work. but I cannot authentically exist in that self because the container isn't made for that. So that's what I'm battling with. And then to the point of wanting to be stable and also loving my job. I love what I do, but to not be able to do it fully authentic, I have to fit within a box. I have to fit within this expectation of what a good professor is, what an efficient professor is, what an effective professor is, not what a transformative professor is. That's not what they're looking for, in my humble opinion. Because if that's what they were looking for, they would look at the track record of students who have positive experiences based on me showing up authentically, but as in the last year, I've just been under the microscope a lot more with having evaluations. It's just that time of year for me, having applied for a full-time position. I was just much more under the microscope. And so the way that I'm doing class is being seen much more closely. And the reaction that I'm getting now that I'm being seen more closely is not as positive as I thought it would be. So for me, that's where the contention is like trying to figure out how can I exist authentically and do the work I want to be doing in a space that doesn't seem to love me as I am anymore. It seems like the institution liked me more when in the earlier stages of my career, I fit more to that box, but as I found more my own values and principles, I think, I don't know, maybe not as closely aligned anymore as it used to be.
That makes sense. Interesting.
Long story long. Sorry.
No, it makes, I don't know. Because as you're speaking, I'm just like listening to you, and I'm also just reflecting. And I think, especially when you talk about the stability part, I think that's been my strongest point. Like even when I used to work at Save Mart, and this is no knock to Save Mart, it's just the people who work there. At one of the Save Marts, they had wrote "Make America Great Again" on the whiteboard in the back. And me, I'm the type of person I am. I'm like that don't bother me, stuff like that. And I remember, obviously knowing that's like their inclination, whatever. When there was like a guy who happened to be white that wasn't doing his job, and it was falling on me, I'm the one getting written up. So I remember it was one of those things where it's like, when it comes to being authentic, it was like, I remember in that moment, I just like had to sit with myself like, okay, hold on. Let's get this straight, because I'm not going to get fired. So I'm like, reflecting on it, like, do I need this job? Financials is good. Don't need this job. I'm working 2 jobs. I can go live off the other job, worst case scenario. So boom. Then it's like, am I actually not doing my job? And I'm like thinking, I'm like reflecting on like, if I ask anybody in this building, they know that Najar is probably the hardest working person here. So for me to be getting written up is already not making sense. So it's like one of those things too, when it comes to like being challenged. If I had to worry about like, damn, this job, like if I quit this job, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm gonna do. It would have to make me bend my principles, because like, damn, even though I know this is some like subconscious, I don't even say racist, but just, just, I don't even know the word prejudice. Like you coincide with who you know. He been working here longer, white guy. This is who I can relate to. So I'm gonna have his back before I have the new black guy back, even though he worked a little bit harder than him, and it wasn't even little. But in that moment, I was like, I'm not finna do me. So I was like, I went home after I got my second write up. They wrote me up the first time. Fair. Came home. They did a back-to-back shift where I had worked late one night and then had to be up early the next morning. But it was just enough past 12 hours, so, whatever. Y'all can have that. Next time, oh yeah, you didn't, it didn't. The way Samar works to give context is that the last guy in produce would leave like 8 o'clock, and the store will be open till midnight. So you have to fill produce up to a point so that way from 8 to midnight, it won't be like empty, which is like an art to it, because it's like how do I know what's about to be bought in the next, I can only fill it up so much, and then I keep, anyway, you're just managing it. So after that, they talked to me. They're like, yeah, there was blah blah blah. There was so much that had to be done when they came in this morning. I'm like what? I said, go ahead, let me know, like what? And they were like, oh, they said it was like 2 carts. I said, 2 carts of what? 2 carts of what? Let me know, because I don't know what 2 carts of what y'all needed to do. And they were like, oh, this is too late, just whatever. And then I remember the manager left. Well, the main manager, the store manager, who wrote me up. Store manager left, and I looked at the guys and the produce manager, stuff like that. They're like, I know. I'm going to talk to the guy, blah, blah. And I'm like, where was that energy when I was getting redden up? So, like, already right there, like, y'all knew it wasn't me. And I'm about to take the rap to the point where I can get fired. The fuck? So, the next day, I sat home, wrote my little 2-week notice, and got the fuck up out of there. And the thing I will say, because it goes in when we're talking about, I think it was at the video that we originally had the conversation was about being, like, the permission.
Yeah.
About having permission. And to that point about permission, I will say after this moment when I quit that job, my mom was hot. Sorry, Mom. My mom was hot that I quit that job. She just, because I didn't even inquire to her. I just said, listen, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Like, I got money in the bank. Quit the job. Mom was upset, whatever. But by doing that, specifically in like letting my family know why I did it, my sister ran into a similar issue where she was doing what she's supposed to be doing. They wasn't giving her raises or whatever. And she quit that mug. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I didn't think nothing, I didn't connect the two, but she told me, like, oh yeah, when you quit your job, it let me know, like, oh, if I got my stuff in line, like,
yeah,
you gotta be scared to quit your job, especially if you do what you're supposed to do. And I remember, like, that's a moment where I think about permission, where, like, if I didn't do that and I was a sucker and stayed in that job just for the money, because the money was good and I'm getting my raises every so often, I just gotta stay in line and not get rid of one more time. What example would I have been setting for my sister when she's in the same situation and it's like they not giving you your raises, you met the requirements, they doing little fugazi stuff. She got up out of there.
Yeah.
Damn, what point was I making? Oh, it was about being authentic.
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to, there are certain criteria that you have to, like, to be truly authentic. I think the cheat code I've always had is that I've always had my foundation very strong to be authentic. And I understand some people who come off unauthentic, they're not doing that purposely. They just have, like you say, you got to make a living. Like, we all want to be like, well, F this job, but not everybody can, you know what I'm saying, leave and go get a job immediately or have reserves to wait till the next job comes. So even when it comes to, like, I've been in situations too when it comes to being comfortable. Some people don't have, like, an example when it comes to being like religious is a good example for me too. Like, I dance the line when it comes to being spiritual, because I'm like, this is about I'll read it, and I realize a lot of people don't be reading it. So I'm like this is what I feel like. This, like, well, how can you feel that way? I'm like, say it right here. And some people be dumbfounded, but anyways, I won't get too deep into that. But yeah, I think let's listen to you guys. It just sounds like it just makes me reflect on what how blessed I've been to be able to be myself, because my mom did a lot of work, grandpa, grandma, dad did a lot of work to put me in the position I'm in, and because of that, I'm able to be my authentic self. And I think that's something to be aware of, and I'm happy to be aware of. Long story long.
But I'm glad you were able to find a connection to the permission piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was like a very nice full circle moment from that.
Yeah. Being your authentic self gave your sister permission to be herself.
Yeah.
And show up in her worth and value as an employee.
Now she make more than me. I'm upset.
It'd be like that. But
she a dental dentist. Yeah, she a dental assistant. So.
Oh yeah, shout out to her. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to. It's like I don't want to leave. That's the other part too. Is like I don't want to.
Exactly.
I don't want to. I want to do this work. I love my job. I love my campuses, and I love my students. So it sucks when you love what you do and you love where you're at, but you feel like that energy is not matched.
Yeah.
That's really where I'm struggling is like I'm being my authentic self, and I'm also performing at the capacity that I feel you expect of me, and I'm still not seeming to fit. But yeah. Anyway, change happens, so I don't know. Maybe it's just a changing climate of students, and
that's pretty cool though.
We're at 10 years, so I don't know what that means for me, but
a whole decade.
Still discovering.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, that was our first topic.
It's wild.
Let's pick it up to something lighter and talk about Ariel's experience with her recent tipping scam.
Tipping scam, definitely. Y'all, I got gypped.
I got gypped.
So, I'm not gonna say the company name. I should, but not.
Please don't.
I'm not. But there's this company who offer like custom made items, right? And it was around Christmas time and my friend's wedding, so I was buying like customized gifts for them for their wedding and for the holidays or whatever. And this was a particular company that I went with because they were supposed to be able to do like take a picture and customize it and like put it on some type of garment or like pillow or whatever. And it looked good on the pictures, right? And so when I went to go check out and I did all my things, it asked for a tip. And I was just like, what? I screenshot it because we had just had an episode about Wuzi and his perspective on tipping. I was like, oh, this is so like ironic or coincidental, whatever. Now they asking online shoppers to tip. So I screenshot it. So that was the thing. And it wasn't even worth it because the product was trash. And I tried to get a refund. They wouldn't give me a refund. And of course, I'm not going to if I can't get a refund, I'm not going to get my tip back.
You left the tip?
I left the tip because I want to see.
I didn't know you left the tip.
No, I left the tip. I left. Let me see what they were. So you can either leave 5%, 10%, 20%, or none. And I did the 10%, which was like a $3.39.
$3 too much.
Right. But it was supposed to be like handmade, customized. So I was like, okay, they are putting it in work. They're physically making.
They sold you on.
Oh no! for the first purchase.
Yeah, I had too much.
But I would have tipped too.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is new, but I'll give it a try. I've never seen online purchase tips before, but whatever. So I feel dumb, but the reason this was brought back to my attention was because I came across a post where the guy had got charged for a ban fee on his last receipt when he closed out his tab, and he didn't know that they were charging a ban fee for being a patron at that bar. So that's what triggered me to think of like, I know the feeling, sort of, kind of, because
like sneaking in these tips.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my experience.
I blame the pandy.
You blame what?
The pandy.
Pandy.
Pandemic.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, because I feel like, especially when I remember like with Uber, I remember I never understood why Uber Eats, DoorDash had such bad reps. Cause I'm like, that concept to me sound like a great idea. You get your food, and then you gotta pay the person. Like, okay, like I always wish, always wanted pizza delivery, so why not deliver all my other food? The same concept. Until I experienced it from my family restaurant, where I don't know if I can't say it's shady practices, but there's a lot of hidden costs in there. So, example, I'll give y'all an example of DoorDash, because that's who I know per se. We used to have customers calling in asking us how much something costs. I never understood why you keep asking us how something specifically costs. If you know what it is, you should know how much it costs. DoorDash upcharges
on certain items.
On items, not on certain items, on all items. They raise the price. So for us at the time, I think we were selling pork chops for like $16.99. They were selling pork chops for like $18.99. But they don't note that that's happening. So you're thinking that our prices are $18.99, and then on top of that, you're getting charged a delivery fee,
And
another fee,
and then you want to be. Then you're like, you should also tip your driver. And it made me just think to myself, like, that's what I'm saying, like, stuff like that be bothering me because I'm like, why are you have all these hidden fees? Like, I get it, y'all about to make y'all money, but transparency is everything. If you're not going,
especially if you're contracting with a restaurant, like, why not?
Well, DoorDash doesn't contract all restaurants. We didn't get asked by DoorDash to do that.
Oh,
they just offer the service. Uber Eats is a little bit better because Uber Eats will ask you and they'll set up a kiosk for you that it will print out the order, it'll go into your system like normal. But DoorDash, at least at that time, it was just like they would call in the order, we'll order it, and then they'll have someone pick it up, and we'll get it's like a third party.
So it might have changed since then.
Probably, I don't know.
Hopefully,
I mean,
no, it's still the same.
It is.
I recently switched over to Uber Eats for that reason.
No, I mean, like, it might have changed on the restaurant end. Like, it might be more set up like Uber Eats, where it's like system.
Maybe, but that price difference is still there.
Yeah, that price difference is there, but I don't know because that's why people like DoorDash because you can order anything. So it'd basically be like if you're a DoorDash, you'd be like, you'll pick the food and then you'll call them like, hey, I want to order this and that for this, and then you'll pick it up. But I think they're doing better because I think they do. No, because Uber Eats does it with McDonald's, right?
Yeah, I did see McDonald's on Uber Eats. I've seen them on both, to be honest. But you know who's on Uber Eats? Popeyes. They're not on DoorDash.
They are on DoorDash.
Yeah, they are.
But
it's more expensive.
I used to deliver for DoorDash.
Yeah.
And I used to make money even without tips. So I don't know how they're paying delivery drivers without tips. Like,
well, that's what the markup.
But like you said, it still should
be known.
Known to the restaurant
and the customer. Because if I knew that the upcharge was going towards delivery somewhat,
then you won't have a problem.
Then I really wouldn't have a problem, and it would help me make better sense of how to tip my drivers. Yeah, because if I'm thinking that their income is purely based on my tip, naturally I'm tipping 20% or something like that most times. No. But I don't have to. Yeah. Like a 10% plus what I'm already paying on top.
I would get paid with that even when I didn't get tips, and we still had like a mileage thing.
Yeah.
Reimbursement.
So.
I don't know. Cool. But it's just funny because like I don't know, like something that throws me off again is like the tips when it's like a counter service place where it's like you about to throw my food on the counter, I gotta come get it. Like. Yeah. And they're like, it's a tip option. You can do whatever you want. I'm like, y'all make me feel uncomfortable that y'all asking me this. Cause
how do you feel about people who say they are ordering?
Barista, though. Huh? I said tip your barista though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they're making there. But how do you feel about people who like order out? Like they'll do pickup, but they eat in the restaurant.
That's like as a waiter, that's the bane of my existence.
Because you know how they charge you more for in service. I mean, eating in.
Do they?
Yeah.
Where?
It's some place. Well.
Oh, maybe some places. Yeah.
I think a lot of places actually.
We don't charge. I didn't know.
Maybe not your family restaurant.
I'm talking about like even like in and like even like In and Out, even like at Chili's or something like that.
Like Cheesecake Factory.
Well, some places they charge you for eating in. That's usually why they ask you are you eating in or eating out.
Really?
Yes, because like they have to bust a table. Like even if you like clean up your stuff and like pick up your stuff, they still have to wipe it and get it prepared for someone else. So how do you feel about people ordering out and still eating in to avoid that like charge?
Just tell them no.
Well, you can, as they're walking to the table, you're like, actually, you ordered out. You should be headed out.
No, that's where they messed up. That's just the you know what I'm saying. That's just how they set it up wrong. You gotta set it up so it's like you can just walk up in there.
Like Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, like cheesecake or like example like
that's true.
You know, like Blackberry. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Blackberry, like
BJ's.
Yeah, you can't just walk past the host and go sit down.
Yeah, you have to wait and get your food and then head back out.
So, and granted, that's tougher with a small restaurant, but I think it's just really at that point it's just a structure, like set up a certain way. Like to-go orders are over there, so go over there. we over here. Give me your food.
That's true.
You want to go there? Sit down over there
and wait for your food.
And we'll bring your food. We don't sit at the tables, but
macaroni grill.
But I will say, On a flip, I mean, it depends. Like, if it's slow, like, we really gonna press the issue?
Yeah, I've done that plenty of times, but it's usually like slow. Like it'd be like two people in the restaurant.
I don't think I've ever ordered something to go and ate it in the restaurant,
I-
except for at a cafe.
I've done that simply because I'm like, oh, if I have leftovers, I already have like something to take the leftovers in or whatever. Like, and it don't be like fine dining restaurants. It just be like, you know, those in between restaurants.
I guess my thing with it is like I don't have a problem. I just feel like if you, and then this is funny coming from the person y'all feel like I'm the non-tipper. I feel like if you do that, you should still tip.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't like when people do that, and then like, especially I've seen some people do that, leave their bag and everything on the table, and dip. And it's like you're not finna tip because you didn't get prompted to,
right? And you're not gonna throw your bag away at least.
Don't get me started, bro. But I got a lot of memories. But again, I don't know. I just feel like I always crack up at how the industry, how the changes. Like right now, McDonald's. I don't know if you guys been to McDonald's lately. I go on the inside a lot.
I went
my window's broken.
Recently, but someone else was buying.
They don't even like McDonald's and Taco Bell. They don't even have nobody at the counter no more.
Oh, I went into Wendy's recently, and they had like 4 new kiosks, and I kind of went that way, and I was like, no, I'm gonna talk to someone, and so I went to the counter, but he was at the counter, so he came over to the counter. I was like, how can I help you? But yeah, they didn't have no one at the counter either.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, especially like. I don't want to get political, y'all. Sorry, don't jump me. With the $20 minimum wage at fast food places.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we're gonna see a lot more of that.
A kiosk, but with
Do not tell me that. Okay, because that's crazy. What? It's just kind of crazy because like I'm all for fast food workers getting paid more, but I like the interaction, and I don't know. It makes me feel. So what is the? I guess it's just towards living. So what can I can't complain.
Yes, for this to catch up with living, but even then, like, granted, I don't think it happened. But they're I was reading an article about schools.
No, there's a company I think that's under fire right now for not raising the wages to 20 in the Bay Area.
Oh, really?
I know McDonald's and
they
Chipotle.
Do it instantly.
I think McDonald's and Chipotle are raising their menu prices to make up.
They got to.
It's annoying.
But the thing that not even on that, but I also heard there's like mass layoffs. They're gonna be like layoffs because like you know what I'm saying. The person who's not doing the most like we can't have you if we pay you 20. Like you got to be. That's why I think they're gonna go away from like someone at the sitting there and your whole job is just standing there because like I'm sorry, we can get somebody else who've been cooking that can also get out here and wipe these tables. Yeah. Or somebody who don't know how to use kiosks. We'll get them to come out here every once in a while, but
we'll see.
Because the Habit always has had kiosk like for years now, and Jack in the Box. I think Jack in the Box was the first place I saw them have kiosk, like back when I was in college, and I was like, "This is cool."
But I was gonna say the actual article I read was the people who are gonna suffer the most are schools, and I was surprised. Like, what is it? What do they mean? I read the article because schools are like have like a budget. The cafeteria staff only get paid. They can only get paid so much to fit within the budget. But if you're telling you can get paid more working fast food workers, like what's gonna happen to the am I gonna work at the school? Or am I gonna work at McDonald's?
Are you talking about like the dining hall, or are you talking about like because you know some college campuses have like Panda and like
no
are they getting raised?
They got to. If they're a fast food restaurant.
It depends on how the contract is situated. Yeah, it's as long as it's I would assume, well. Because some fast food restaurants are franchises.
Oh yeah.
You know, of their own. So I would imagine it might vary depending on if it's a franchise or if it's actually part of the you know what I mean, corporation.
If it was like how they did the minimum wage last time, it was based on how many employees you have. Oh. So if you meet I think it's 20. If you meet 20 employees, you have to like contractually do the $15 they did, but if you had less than 20, you can do. It's not that much. I think it was like $1.50 less or something like that per hour. If you're like a small business, just because a small business can't afford to pay that off. This is my first employee, and I'm gonna pay them probably more than what I'm about to get paid. More than I'm about to make after I pay you. You know what I'm saying? Because what Because $20 an hour is what, 40,000 a year?
A month, it's like, I think at a month it's like 3,200 is what the math was I did.
Jesus.
So.
Well, before taxes, right?
Yeah, it's before taxes.
Someone I know is not with it.
I bet. I'm pretty sure I don't know who it is.
This person was like, because there was an interview on I guess on the news or something of this older woman with like 4 kids working at Jack in the Box or something, and she was just saying how like she's grateful for the raise and this and that, and like happy that it's in place and blah blah blah. And this person shared it with me. It was just like, ooh, she shouldn't have made this her career in the first place type vibe. She was just like, basically like, if this person's been working there for 10 years, this person had time to like go to school and get like a trade or a degree or something.
See, I like to keep it simple.
To not stick with the fast food job and try to raise 4 kids on a fast food job.
Well, even then, like, why didn't she move up into Jack in the Box?
That as well, like become like a
position, or
region manager or something.
Yeah.
I seem like she was in the same position. She might have been a manager now, but I don't know. But it's just like,
I will say though, to give context to this, to show like how times have changed. When I was, and I've only been in SAC for a couple of years. When I left Saymart before the pandemic, our key carrier, which is like, he's like the highest position before you, no, second highest position before you go to salary, he was capped out at 19. And the baggers were making like, gotta think about the minimum wage. I think the baggers was making like $13-14. So he was hot because he like, hold on, let me get this straight. This guy who just got here, this little kid that's like 18, is making $14 an hour. I've been here for X amount of years making 19. And that's where I capped out at. And like, yeah, I can go to a higher position, but you also, now you're telling me I have to work 40 hours. And I'm on salary, so I lose all my benefits. So it's like hearing that, I'm sorry. I was like, I think it's somebody else.
It does.
So,
it feels like it's I don't know. It's
it feels a little weird.
It does, especially being a teacher and not having, I feel, equitable pay raises ourselves. Like to see fast food workers get pay raises like this, and I'm talking like when I was working, I think minimum wage was like $9 an hour, maybe $8-9 an hour. To now it's 20, and my rate of pay as an instructor has not gone from 9 to 20 like that in the past 10 years that I've been teaching. I just am curious, what about everybody else who has gone to get these freaking degrees that society tells us to go get, or these trades that society tells us to go get, but for there to be no real, pay raises in those areas either. It's just frustrating.
No, that's what I'm saying, and that's what. And I'm not to knock those people, but it's
because they have their needs too.
But
it's not oppression Olympics,
Yeah, it's not oppression Olympics.
I guess my thing is just like, at what, I wish that there was a way to get those people to shift into a better career instead of keeping them in that career. Because like you said, with the lady who got 4 kids, why hasn't she not moved to a job like, and I don't know what something that you consider better, but still like, maybe she don't have the necessary skills, but why can't she go to like a DMV or like to an IRS or something like that, where it's not a highly skilled job, and no disrespect to those people, but it's still one step up from a fast food worker.
This person that made that comment was saying like, basically knowing that the woman was a single mother with 4 kids and working at Jack in the Box or whatever she was working at, she was eligible for state benefits of some sort that have programs that pay for nursing and pay for schooling opportunities and all those things. Like, why didn't she take advantage of those state programs to access a more,
I'm about to say something out of pocket too,
stable job outside of fast food?
I just think it's messed up that they're giving such high pay raises to people who don't, and again. I don't care. Y'all get them you want. Who don't really add nothing to society. They add
convenience, diabetes.
Yeah, for fast food restaurants. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
heart attacks.
You get me? Like, and I'm not trying to knock them, but it's like
Cancer.
because, like you said, well, someone like Allie, like someone who's like actually who's an educator to help put forth somebody who's gonna add more to the value of America.
Yeah,
that person is struggling to get raises, but the person who
how do you feel the profit bills?
Huh?
We're filling in all the gaps for what the government's failing at.
Well, exactly. But that's what I'm saying.
We get paid
The least. Yeah.
So I'm saying it's like it just cracks me up because like I don't know. It just throws me off.
We're putting our resources in the wrong areas.
Well, because you're trying to like. I think they're thinking about it the wrong way. You know,
Yeah.
we raise, like, and that's another thing that people don't understand. Like, when you raise the minimum wage, it's not like every other job also raises the wages.
Mm-hmm.
Those wages, they're like, well, you get paid more than minimum wage. What do you want me to do? Yeah. That's what they told the manager. I remember I had an argument with my at Save Mart because I had the way Save Mart's raise program was like this. When you first you can't get any raises until you get promoted. Period. So if you're a bagger, you're just stuck at minimum wage forever. You get promoted, then they start counting your hours. Your first 3 raises is 500 hours. After that, it's every 1,000 hours you get a raise, 50-cent raise. So boom, 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 boom. For me, I ain't a problem because I was trying to work my life away. So I'm working. So throughout the year, I made $1.50 or something like that. Can't remember the exact amount, but I basically was making a good chunk because I was working overtime. Every time they needed overtime, call me in, blah, blah, blah. These niggas, when minimum wage went up, I think minimum wage went to 13. So I had went from 12 because I think minimum wage was $12.50. I went from $12.50 to like $13.25, and then minimum wage went up to $13. So I was like, I'm confused. They're like, what's going on? I'm like, well, I did all this to get to $13.25, but y'all didn't really match it. He's like, oh yeah, we don't match because technically you beat inflation. I said 25 cents. I said, so you tell me? I said, I was talking to the guy. I said, now let's be humans for a second. You basically, I said, I don't think you realize what you're saying to me, because I could basically have worked half the hours I worked last year, and I would have got like close to the same raise I got this year, basically. But I worked hella hours overtime, worked on Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? All these different things, and I made 25 cents more than minimum wage. like, well, I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, it's stuff like that where I'm like, this is where quiet quitting come in because, like, well, fuck y'all then. I'm about to just collect the check. I'm finna just clock in and do the bare minimum. So I feel bad hearing I'm happy for the fast food workers, but I feel bad for the people who are above minimum wage. Just like, well, shit, like.
Yeah.
And then that's when I start to understand like the little slick stuff like, well, we gotta get our money when we can then like
it's just expanding the middle class at the end of the day.
Unfortunately.
Making a group of people feel better, but we're all ultimately still struggling with a lack of, resources and being valued in society.
I even think about the old folks.
Like financially valued.
Because think about, we raised the minimum wage for everybody. What about the old folks who got it? They money not going up. They living off retirement. So everything costing more. And now they like.
All their stuff, a lot of their stuff is paid off. Not all, but a lot of it, like.
Yeah.
I feel like for older generations, if they wanted to, they could go get a minimum wage job and get that. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Like if they wanted to, they could go work at Walmart as a door greeter and make that minimum wage.
Cause my grandma, her she make $800 a month from her little SSA check or whatever that
actually,
did.
Yeah, with inflation. Now that I'm thinking about it,
so it's like now like I said, since she been retired, minimum wages went from 15. It went from whatever it was. I think it was like, what was it before it was 15?
13.25 or something.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. Like when they first did the program, it was cheap, and now it's like 20. So it's like my grandma loved Jack in the Box. So I was like. Grandma might be able to Jack in the Box no more.
I honestly, personally,
that cracks me up.
I always view those jobs as like transitional jobs. like teenage through college, maybe a side job if you want to have additional income. And also, like, you know, when you get older and like you're like, I just want to work. I just want to make. Well, now older people, they have to work because the way our society is
set up.
But originally, older people would be volunteering and just working for fun. You know.
Yeah.
So I always viewed like Walmart and fast food restaurants, stuff like that, as those type of jobs. Unless you're like trying to, like you said, move up in that industry and like whatever. And now I just feel like people have to rely on them, unfortunately. But then also it's this case, like, some people don't. Like, they had other opportunities to, like, leave that sector and, like,
I didn't want to try.
Develop. So, I don't know. I feel like
That's an interesting conversation.
It's good. But also, like, are we, what do you call it? Coddling, I guess, in a sense. Buy rates. I don't know. It's just
But I just feel like, then I think about the people who are specialized, is like what makes them, I don't know. I just feel like it. I feel like it just, and I've seen this from the comments of people, and I don't know if this is true, but from the comments I've seen is like, I feel like it just demotivates it demotivates a bunch of people who are working to be skilled. Cause like I'm doing all this work to, you know, not everybody trying to make six figures, but it's to, you know, to be in a better place that I'm in, and then, you know what I'm saying?
Or I could just flip fries and make $20.
I'm saying,
I'll
like,
go work in and out and just burn it out throughout the day, and I'm gonna be up. I work my little 8 hours and I'm done.
I really was crunching those numbers, and I was like, I could pay my bills.
Yeah, I remember when I was making $20 an hour, and what I was doing to make $20 an hour, and I'm like, I was dying.
That's why I'm like, I think the only raise that I saw that I think is worth it is UPS.
Yeah,
because I don't know if you ever seen a UPS driver work.
Yeah,
all them niggas be working.
Yeah. One of my friends, he was telling me like to be a UPS driver and like FedEx driver, like it takes a lot. And because he was considering to go that route, and he was just like, I gotta get my mind. I don't know. He was like, I don't know. I just had to think about the sacrifice and like the
brown for the rest of your life,
and like the strain and different like things you have to navigate as a driver and stuff. He was like, I don't know if it's worth it. I've been going back and forth. But I was like, really? To be a UPS driver? He was like, yeah.
I even just found out it's something petty, but I found out they can't leave their truck on. They have to always turn it off.
That's smart.
So every time it's like they hop out, got turned off.
Yeah.
Hop back in, because before, you know, they'll leave it running so they can hop out, hop in, hop out.
Yeah.
But no, they ain't get it. Even if you're going up the street, but it cracked me up because I just be messing up. Because every time we work on them, and now they don't, to fix the issue, they have like a little button. So it's like a key fob. You know, like if the key fob's in there, you push it and it'll start it instead of having like
I'll have
the
to
keys
crank
back
it
in
up.
there.
Oh.
I was like, that's pretty cool.
That's better for them.
Yeah. If they're gonna make them turn.
That's why I think they're gonna go electric too, because electric, obviously, like, I don't know if you ever drove a Tesla.
No.
You don't have to put a key in; you just push the pedal.
Mm.
And I was like, that's pretty cool. So imagine then they just hop out and then.
One of my friends, she only makes $21 an hour doing the job I previously did. I was making more than her there. Unfortunately, she worked there 2 years more than I had, and I felt so bad. But I'm just thinking, like, looking at her schedule and her task and like everything she does, I'm just like, you're only making $21 an hour. And she had been asking for a raise for like a year and a half. They hadn't did her like evaluation, and it was just a lot of like leadership stuff going on. And I'm just thinking about her now, and it's like, I wonder how she's feeling only making $21 an hour with all the hard work, and like, because that work takes more than just physical. Like,
what's mental?
It's mental, emotional, because we deal with like a very marginalized community, and we're supporting them in like everything, like with wraparound services. So I'm just like, she's doing all this to make $1 more than like a McDonald's worker. Not to say McDonald's isn't hard. Like, it does take a lot of energy and stuff, but it's not the same.
When I'm crunching the numbers for myself, like, I'm just they're making like half of my income.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds significant, but for me, like half my income and the amount of energy it takes to make the income that I make, I'm just like, well, can I get another $3,000 on top of what I'm making for the effort that goes, the extra late nights that are upgraded? I would love to be able to just clock in and out for a good 8-hour, 5-hour, 4-hour. I used to work at KFC, so I'm also like going back to the difference between what went into that sort of work versus the work I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like I think I could do a lot on $20 an hour. I can do more with what I'm making now, but it's just,
but
I don't know. The struggle just doesn't feel so far away from me. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know.
What I get what you're saying, because for Allie's point, when Allie leaves that school site, her job is not done.
Yeah.
It's not done. So, like I said, when the semester's over and everybody want them grades, guess who has to sit there where everybody's on their summer vacation waiting to get their grade? For multiple classes, multiple schools, that's nuts to me. Yeah. That's nuts. To only get paid twice as much as a McDonald's worker. And like you said, that's still like...
And you still have to like go back to school and keep your continuing education credits and like be informed about new trends in the system. And
so it's like there's like a more on top of it.
Or if I don't do my professional development, I will get docked pay.
Right.
I have an obligation to do a certain amount of hours depending on the amount of classes that I teach. And if I don't do them by the deadline, by my last check, I will get docked. And that, I want to be clear, like as an adjunct professor, I am also paid hourly. Yeah. It's not a salary. It's, you know, I only have like a salary income at a 4-year institution at Sac State, but most adjuncts are being paid hourly too. So while a lot of people think that teachers have this very stable salaried job, a lot of your college professors, at least that are adjuncts, are being paid hourly, just like you.
Yeah, the more classes they take on is the more money they make.
Mm-hmm. The only difference is it's just not called minimum wage because it's priced at our degrees, which at this point are only worth 50%.
Yeah,
you know. But anyway,
it's pretty interesting conversation. Sorry, I didn't mean to take it there, but
no, well,
okay.
I was reading about it. I had to, I was thinking about the tips. I'm like, man,
you might need to like chop this up into just Instagram and social media posts.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on. Yeah.
But these are the truth. You know, like as much, especially as a Californian and seeing rent, I do feel for the lady who has 4 kids. Yeah, because maybe she didn't see her life going this way, and this is her circumstances. Maybe she had a partner and the partner left. I don't know what the situation is. Maybe this is her. This might be all she got. Mm-hmm. But how many people are in her position? And that's where I'm like, I hear a lot. Like I said, I see my friends stress out trying to get better jobs. I've seen my friends bust their ass to get the job that they got. I've seen people literally, like you said, know their worth, quit their job, go somewhere else with that. So to see like those people do that and get their just desserts, and then see some of the people like, this McDonald's job. I know I've been doing the bare minimum at McDonald's my whole life, but it's not fair. What? I'm not saying that's what happened, but and that's a statistic I need to look up after this. How many people are actually in California? How many people are working fast food jobs?
That's a good.
Because that might be.
Did they know the ages too, or like how?
Oh, they gotta know.
I want to know how long they've been at.
Honestly, I feel like you make a good point about them being transition jobs, because there are certain careers that I don't think are meant to be lifelong. Like being, for example, even like law enforcement. A lot of people will argue that should not be a lifelong career because of how much trauma you're exposed to on a daily basis. And I feel like fast food, while you're not exposed to trauma on a daily basis, because it's not a fiscally sustainable career for the long term, it should also be a short-term career. That's how I feel like that's how it should be.
Or it's like
unless you're an owner.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What I mean, granted.
Or like disabled or something, and that's like the only thing.
Yeah. But even then, like programs and stuff like that. Like my brother has mental disability issues.
Like best friends or best buddies.
Hey, but they got some good benefits. So they doubling up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't mean to say it could. Fast food can be a long-term job for people, but most of the roles that people have to play in them, I don't think, I don't know. I feel like there's so many things there's so many other places you could enjoy getting. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I agree with you because like Save Mart is a good example. Like Save Mart can be two things. It could be a transitional job, or it could be a career. Mm-hmm. So if you're a bagger, that's a transitional job. You shouldn't be staying a bagger for long, which is why they make it. You don't get no raises as a bagger. You're just a bagger. If you want to make more money, you need more responsibility, which means you need to do more things. So you become a bagger, multi-purpose clerk. For multi-purpose clerk, you got to go to different departments and figure it out. And then from that, you become a checker, which is everybody's dream job. That's where a lot of people get stuck. And then from there, you have to take more responsibility. You have to become a manager in either department or as up there. And then from that, you go supervisor, and then go, So, but some people, the way that I've always, the ideal way I've seen people do it is that they'll start from the bottom, work as high as they can, and then when their life changes, like kids move out and everything like that, they downsize, then they'll go back down. So you'll see some people like, yeah, I used to be a high manager, but now my kids left. It's just me and my husband. We got a 1-bedroom condo. I'm just a checker now. That makes more sense to me. But like you said, when you're in the middle of it and you're just a bag, like I'm a bagger. I got 2 kids, and like maybe that's what you just got. But like then you should also be trying to work to. How do you get to the next position? Not they need to pay me more to be a bagger because this ain't right. Well, I mean,
there's lots of resources.
when you're a bagger, what else do you do?
Your main job is to get grocery carts.
Oh, like so you go collect the carts.
That sounds fun.
And then bag, and then that's it, or
so
are you like
your main job is shopping carts and taking people's groceries to the car?
Okay.
Save Mart's all about building. By the way,
relationships.
I'm about to talk about it right now.
I love Save Mart.
The bagger's job, it really is called we don't call them baggers, we call them service clerks. Service clerk's job is to take groceries to the car and to get shopping carts. Bagging is a convenience to build that relationship with that person, but the ultimate goal is to help that person to their car.
Okay.
Because the whole thing about Save Mart is about building relationships. It's not just you don't just come to Save Mart just to shop.
Yeah.
Like there's obviously a premium there, but it's also about we actually care about you in this mug. Like you're not. That's why a lot of older people go to Save Mart because like you'll come in there and like they might not have nobody to sit. Hey, we'll take everything to your car, put it in the car for you, bro.
Yeah, I miss my Save Mart.
I do too.
I was very familiar with all the workers there.
They all love it there.
Oh, I miss going to see the Jeep with the balls hanging from the. It was one of the workers' trucks.
Oh.
I would always know when they're at work because they would be parked there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, see?
Yeah.
So, I haven't got familiar with the Save Mart by my new place yet. Like the
I wish
workers.
there was a Save Mart over here. I do not like my Safeway. Safeway is not for me. Rayleigh's is not for me. I need Save Mart.
Rayleigh's? I've only gone to Rayleigh's like 3 times since I lived here, and it's nothing wrong with it. It's just I don't know. It's not my. I don't know. It just feels different.
It's very young.
I like the Rayleigh's near Sac State.
Oh,
that one's nice.
I used to go to that one when I lived on campus.
Yeah, that's like one
that
of
was
the
like
few,
years ago.
That one and there's a Bel Air in South Sac that I think is nostalgic for me. But I'm a Safeway girly, and I do like Save Mart too. But I just don't live close to Save Mart anymore.
Yeah, I just feel like Save Mart just feel like neighborhood to me.
It reminds me of Stater Brothers in SoCal, so I always felt close to it.
So you didn't have Ralph's over there?
I think we had a Ralph's, but we had Stater Brothers was close. Ralph was on the west side, and Stater Brothers and was on the east side, so I used to go to Stater Brothers.
Do you remember Albertsons?
Yeah, there's still Albertsons in my hometown.
Oh,
they got bought up by Save Mart.
Oh, okay, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, I like Albertsons too.
Albertsons was cool. A lot of the managers that I knew at Save Mart, we used to work for Albertsons. When they got bought up. And I was asking like, how was that transition? I was like, pretty good. I was like, cause I thought it'd be like I'd be upset or something. They're like, no, same thing. The groceries.
New brand. That's all. Or new name. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to St. Mark. I missed him. I'll probably work there when I get old.
Yeah.
I always say that. Like, I don't know. I'm not as much as I love my entrepreneur stuff. I don't know. I'm not gonna get a job, but I would like bartending. I want to bartend so bad. So if you see a stand in my career like Najara is always bartending, like, it's because I've always wanted. That's what I was gonna do when I came down here, but it didn't work out.
It's never too late.
It's not too late, but I'm a salesman now, so it's kind of weird to be like, quit my job, become a bartender. I'm gonna quit my job, become a bartender. Maybe later.
Yeah.
Some like I don't know. I just like club scenes. So.
Yeah, I feel like are there any like other small and odd jobs that you would be willing to do later on in life, or that you wanted to do you never had the chance to do, like now that you are where you are?
I always wanted to work in like stationery or like mailing, so like UPS, FedEx.
I went to Hallmark for some reason.
Hallmark. I actually applied for a job at Hallmark a few times back in my hometown for the holidays, but I never got hired.
They only got enough pins.
I always wanted to be a card writer.
Yeah,
really? That'd be fun.
I used to want to write cards too. One of my friends, she still wants to write cards. That's probably something we're gonna have in our cafe.
I love that.
Like a card.
That'd be fun.
Please, but yeah, I always wanted. Bookstores. Yeah, I used to work in the library in junior high. That was like, I don't know. It wasn't a class. Was it a class? It wasn't a class. It was something I did in my off.
Like leadership?
No, it was just like we had 8 classes a day or whatever, and I had an open period, and I would volunteer in the library for my open period. I used to love doing that.
Fun fact: to be a librarian, you have a master's degree.
I know they do a lot.
Yeah,
they have to know a lot.
Yeah,
they
do.
To know a lot. I think that's so cool.
When I used to walk past in my hometown, they the junior college. I used to walk past their little because they had like their classes in the library, and I used to just see them working. I'm like, that looks so cool.
I just wonder how they keep, because I remember I was talking to a lady and she's like, yeah, you have to like keep track of like what you have available to people. And I'm like, I've never thought about the library in that way. Like they have to make sure that there's a good diversity of things that are available to the students. And I'm like, that is so cool.
It is cool.
Did y'all watch that episode of Abbott of the latest season?
No.
Oh.
No.
There's an episode about library. I think you guys should watch it.
It's my summer binge show. As soon as the semester's over, that's...
Librarian was my homie though at my school.
Yeah.
She taught me how to fight. She was a thug. I was saying she had a master's degree. That's what's up. That's that black woman.
That's so cool.
I loved my librarian too. She wasn't black, but we were close.
I think an odd job that I would want to do. Yeah, I want to be like, when they do they go like the fishing, the snow crab fishing, or the king crab fishing. I've always wanted to go on one of those tours in Alaska.
I watched them do that on the show, the survival show I was telling you about, and they have to do that to feed themselves. I was like,
you want to go on the tour? Or you want to be a tour guide? Which one?
Oh no. You ain't never seen it before?
No, because you're talking about odd jobs.
Yeah, so it's like basically like they go. It's basically the fishermen who go get the king crabs, but it's like deep in the ocean, and it's like dangerous.
Oh.
This isn't an odd job, but it just came to my mind because you said dangerous. But my sister told me about her ex who used to build the windmills.
Oh snap!
And he used to use that against her though. He used to be like, "Oh, my job dangerous. You don't know how much longer."
Hey, for real.
Oh, not the manipulation.
Right, every time I go to work, I'm risking my life.
Want to hear something crazy? I don't know if have you ever seen that joke about the underwater welder on TikTok?
No.
So there's like this joke where this person will call their parent, like, yeah, have I been applying for jobs, right? I got this job and they want me to be an underwater welder, and it's usually like some dad who's like in the oil industry, and they're like, baby, no, please no. Like there's a video of a girl doing it, and there's like this dude who just recently did it. I looked up the life expectancy of an underwater welder, 35.
And what year do they usually start You're working.
No, the average is 35 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they don't like if you do it like because a lot of them start young. So 35 years old is like life expectancy, and they showed what they do. That shit looks crazy. Like I saw like there's like one where the guy was like under there and then like a shark started like guy was in no cage. It's just like the shark just started swimming by him and he like got to watch out for the shark and they're under the water for 8 hours a day in a suit. I said that's what's up. But guess how much they make?
A lot. They have to make a lot. Like what? 100,000, 200,000, a million.
300. I think they make like 386.
That feels right.
Oh yeah.
That feels right. If you're potentially not gonna make it past 35, I better be making. Yeah, that's why I said a million because that's.
I thought about it for a second. I can't swim. I learned for 385,000.
What will yours be?
I have a long list.
Okay. I thought about this.
Over the many years because I've always wanted. Even in undergrad, I worked a lot of different jobs.
I know one though.
What? Which one is it?
She wants to open a bed and breakfast.
I do, but that's not what I'm talking about today.
I used to want to do that with like my future spouse, but then I grew out of it.
Oh, I
don't listen to her.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh no, I'm not saying for you not to do it. I'm just saying like I get the.
Yeah. It's the other things I would do are like I would love to work on a cruise ship.
Okay.
Like
I went to school for that.
Did you?
My I guess was it minor was in RPTA, and so we had to learn all that stuff.
Yeah, I regret not minoring in RPTA or majoring, to be honest.
It's a really cool.
I feel like we've talked about this before, possibly.
You should do it still.
I should. Okay, so I would do that. I would be also a massage therapist. I would also like to try working at an art store. I'd like to be a barista or a server.
The art store on what street is that?
J Street. Or How?
I think it's How.
Blick?
Yes. I can see you in there.
Oh, I love it there.
Yeah.
They teach classes.
It's a great spot.
I want to work at an art store mainly to teach art classes too, like partly to. But now I'm going to add librarian to the list because that sounds like such a great sweet spot between what it is I like why I like school, but also not having to take my work home.
Yeah.
And grade. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Librarians do teach also. So.
Really?
Sometimes.
What do they teach? Like other librarians or like?
I think there's like information resource classes, and sometimes like libraries have classes. I think on navigating the library. It's like classes on navigating the library, navigating the online library system, things like that.
I'll take a class like that because I don't know. I just love having. I mean, granted, my books are biased, but. I don't know. I like the concept of reading a new book or like reading other books, and there's nothing better than like reading a book and knowing the book is not for me, but being able to know who this book is for. Like this book ain't for me, but there's a person out there this book is for. And I think they really enjoy this book. There's a couple of books I read like that.
Yeah,
I always get those books away. I'm like, I don't want that in my library. Like, oh, you know what? I think you really like this book.
That's my favorite thing to do.
That's why I keep paperbacks.
Are you coming to my book event?
Are you gonna go to hers?
Yeah,
we've talked about
April 23rd.
Mine says April 23rd.
What is it?
What's not April's?
My book thing is on April 23rd.
Yeah, and mine is on the 27th.
Oh, okay. Next week.
So
my bad.
It's a few weeks.
Yeah, and we're collaborating.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
She's gonna be my facilitator for one of my.
That's cute.
Oh man.
Yeah.
What's so funny?
Throw it back. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think that was a good time.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. thank you guys for watching this episode of Special Friends Podcast. If you guys enjoyed it, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. Also, rate the podcast 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Review us on Spotify if that's where you listen. And do me a favor. Obviously, you enjoyed this episode if you're this far. Comment some of the thoughts on what we talked about. What have you learned about your authenticity? Comment about how you feel about the race.
Mm-hmm.
Comment on everything. What else? We talking one more thing.
How you feel about tips?
Mm-hmm.
How you feel about tipping?
Yeah.
If there are any odd jobs that still, occupy space in your mind sometimes, just thinking about, maybe I could try that in the future.
Honestly, could talk about that topic forever because I have a lot of jobs that I wish I could do if money wasn't an option.
If money wasn't an option, what all jobs would you just get into, Yeah. And
I'll open a bakery.
I think a cool question would be first impressions. We open with first impressions. So if you care to share about your first impressions, like seeing our podcast and meeting us for the first time through our podcast,
let us know.
If you care to share.
Or check out our social media pages.
And that. Well, mine's
Give
private.
us our first impressions.
But you can check out my YouTube. That's public. But my Instagram is pretty locked down.
No, I'm just kidding. Y'all can follow me and y'all can message me. I get messages there all the time.
Yeah.
I love chatting with the folks.
Maybe I should go public, but we'll see.
Go public.
Go public with your faith.
For real. But guys, thank you, and we're outie.
Peace.
You're my special friend.